Thomas, what are you doing? It's nothing. It was a cold, windy, snowy evening, a few days after Christmas. Professor Connery was out shoveling the snow from in front of his house when he noticed a taxi come to a stop. A woman rolled down the window and looked at him. "Excuse me, are you from this neighborhood?" "Yes, I am." "Do you by any chance know Professor Henry Connery, where he lives?" "Well, yes, I am Henry Connery, and this is my humble abode." The woman got down from the taxi in a hurry. "Professor, I'm Mary Wilson. I really need your help. I read your article about the Aztec death whistle. You've got to come with me." "What is this about?" "It's my family. Their life is in danger. My husband and my son." "All right, let the taxi go. We can drive by my car. But how is your family in danger?" Professor Connery opened his gate and escorted Mary towards the house. It was tremendously cold and the winds were picking up. "Professor, it all started on Christmas Eve. My husband Thomas, he's an archaeologist and he often has to travel on the job. When I first met him, he had just come out of a serious relationship with his ex. But soon we connected, and after a couple months of dating, we got married. And now we have a 7-year-old son, Daniel. On Christmas Eve, we had all just returned home. My son and I were sitting by the Christmas tree. Daniel was looking through all the gifts when he started opening one of them. "Daniel, aren't you going to wait for Dad?" "Dad's going to take forever." I noticed the gift in Daniel's hand had no label on it. "Whose gift is this, Daniel?" "It was delivered earlier today. I brought it in." Inside, there was a small carved figure. "Scary. What is this?" "Looks strange. Who could it be from?" "Maybe it's from one of your father's friends." As we were looking at it, Thomas called out Daniel to help him on the lawn. "Buddy, can you bring out the shovel? I need your help." "Okay, Dad." Later that night, when we were all sitting by the fire together, Thomas saw the thing. "What is this, Dad?" "Well, it looks like an Aztec death whistle if I'm correct." "What is it for?" "The Aztec people used to give sacrifices to their death gods, and this whistle was meant to guide the souls of the deceased in the journey to the afterlife." "Who would send us something like this on Christmas?" "Must have been a prank from one of my friends." That night, we had dinner and spent some family time together opening up the rest of the gifts before we all went to bed. But I had a dreadful dream that night. I saw Thomas and Daniel trapped somewhere wicked, surrounded by fire, and something demonic was trying to harm them, feast off of them. No, no, no! "Mary, what happened?" "I saw someone was trying to harm you and Daniel." "It was just a dream. You heard about the death whistle, it was probably on your mind. That's why you had the nightmare. Relax, it's all right." But it was ever since that night, I started noticing strange things around the house. The next morning, when I went to the kitchen, I found all the raw meat from the fridge scattered on the floor. At first I thought a thief had broken in, but it looked like something had eaten and torn it into pieces. There are many cats around my neighborhood, so I thought it could be one of them, but how could a cat open the fridge? I was confused, and that day I just cleaned up everything and put it aside. But after that, I completely lost my appetite. And that very night, I noticed Thomas had started behaving odd as well. I woke up from my sleep to find him strangely staring at me. "Thomas, are you all right?" "It's fine. I'm just having trouble sleeping. I'll be in the living room." Thomas was awake for most of the night in the living room. The next morning, I didn't find anything odd in the kitchen, and Thomas seemed normal too. But when night fell, I woke up to see Thomas get out of bed again and go out. So I followed him. And what I saw still haunts me. I found him crouched over the meat on the kitchen floor, feasting on it. "Thomas, what are you doing?" "It's nothing." I was frightened. I didn't know what to do or say. I couldn't understand what was happening to him, but I knew something wasn't right. I decided to throw out all the meat. But that night again, I woke up to find him staring at me. And a while later, he got up and left, but I didn't follow him that night. The following morning, everything seemed fine in the house. But the minute I opened our front door, I was horrified to see the remains of a cat strewn across our porch. The animal was in a dreadful condition, portions of its body missing as if clawed out. Who or what could have done something like this? Thomas was quiet. He didn't say anything and simply went back in as if he was unbothered. But his eyes, there was something in his eyes. I started to wonder why this was happening, and I realized all this had started ever since we got that death whistle. So I looked more into it. That's when I found your site, Professor. You had written a research paper on the whistle. Long ago, the Aztec people would offer sacrificial offerings to their death gods in order for their souls to peacefully pass over to the Xibalba, the afterlife. They would carve out these whistles from stone or wood and blow into them as they walked over a path of burning hot ember, as a symbol of crossing the bridge of fire to the other side, before they were sacrificed and buried with the whistle. When I read the paper, I understood what happened to Thomas. He had become possessed by the spirit of the one who had been sacrificed. Instead of reaching the afterlife, the spirit reached Thomas and possessed his life. And I'm afraid whatever the spirit is, it will harm my husband, and it will get to my son too. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to save my family. That's why I came here to you. After listening to everything, Professor Connery nodded. "All right, I'll come with you. Just give me a moment." "Thank you, Professor." Professor Connery went inside and grabbed his car keys. When he came out, he was surprised to see Mary standing out in the snow. "Mary, let's go." When they reached her home, Mary walked in to find Thomas pacing in the living room. "Mary, where did you go? You had me so worried." "Thomas, this is Professor Connery. We need to talk. Please trust me. We need his help. Come inside." Thomas looked at Professor Connery. "Are you Professor Henry Connery?" "Yes. I've heard about you. Professor, please, come with me. Professor Connery followed Mary and Thomas into Thomas's study, where she brought out the whistle and showed it to him. Professor, this is the whistle. Taking a look at it, Professor Connery put it down on the table again. I need a chair and some rope. What do we need a rope for? Thomas, I'm getting it, don't worry. Whatever he's doing for our good. So Mary brought in a chair and the rope and handed it to Professor Connery. Mary, would you please sit for a minute? All right. But as soon as Mary sat down, Professor Connery gave the rope to Thomas. Quickly, tie her up. And Thomas immediately did so before Mary could do anything. What is going on? Why are you tying me? Mary, it is not your husband. It is you. You're possessed. Look at the weather outside. It's freezing. When you arrived to my house, the driver was shivering from the cold. I was shivering from the cold. But you came in a light jacket and you weren't feeling a thing. You told me your whole story standing on my porch. Not once you wanted to go inside. And when I went inside, even then you stood outside in the snow. No human being can tolerate this much cold, Mary. You aren't yourself. There is an entity within you. Professor Connery is right. These past few days, strange, horrifying things have been happening with you, Mary. The night after you had that nightmare, I woke up to find you sleeping with your eyes opened. I was scared seeing you like that, but I tried to rationalize it, thinking it was because of some sleep issue or some sort of sleep paralysis. But then you woke up and you spoke to me in a distorted, deep voice that wasn't yours.
Thomas, are you alright?
It's fine. Out of fright, I went to sleep in the living room. And on the third night, I noticed you get up from your sleep and go to the kitchen for a while. When you returned, I went to check what you were doing. That's when I found the raw meat half-eaten on the kitchen floor. And a while later, when you came searching for me, there was blood on your face. You had those big eyes, that voice.
Thomas, what are you doing?
It's nothing. When I saw you throwing away all the meat the next day, I was confused as to what was going on. But again, in the middle of the night, I saw you leave. And this time, I heard the scream of a cat. When I went to check on you, I saw you with my own eyes, feasting on the animal. I was shocked to say anything. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was considering reaching out to Professor Connery after the holidays were over. Professor Connery picked up the whistle. Do you have any idea as to who sent this to you? I'm really not sure, Professor. There's an inscription here. It's an unholy inscription. Esther, my ex-girlfriend? Before I met Mary, I was in a living relationship with a girl named Esther. We had been together for almost 5 years, but sometimes I wondered why I even loved her. At times it felt like I was spellbound by her. Esther was into some unusual things, She used to have beads, fish scales, strange herbal plants, and scents. I thought it was a hobby, an obsession of hers, and I never took it seriously. But it was one day I returned home and I caught her in the middle of a ritual. She had blood on her hands. The condition of that animal was horrendous. I knew it was nothing but evil. Esther had taken things too far. And that night, I broke up with her. And eventually, I met Mary. But Esther continued to contact me. She apologized for what she did. She said she would stop, but I didn't want to have anything to do with her. Professor, if this is from her, how can we get rid of it? We have to reverse the curse. When this whistle is blown, it guides the soul of the deceased on the journey to the afterlife. But it has been enchanted upon. It's charmed so that the soul will return to the one who blows the whistle and possess this life instead of passing on to the afterlife. What is this thing? No! Mary, what happened? I saw someone was trying to harm you and Daniel. It was just a dream. Professor, how will we reverse it? We will need Ember. Professor Connery turned off the lights and gathered some ember and circled it around Mary. He then handed her the whistle. Blow into this. Mary nervously took the whistle and blew into it. And at once, it dropped from her hands as she struggled to stay put in her chair. A thick black smoke released from her and entered into the whistle again before she fell unconscious. Professor Connery immediately picked it up as Thomas caught hold of Mary. Scratching out the inscription, Professor Connery placed the whistle in a wooden box. We have to give this back to her. Do you know where she lives? Yes, Professor. Who kept this here so late at night? No, it can't be. You broke my heart, and now you'll live a happy life? I won't let that happen. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.